Hi, this is Mike Young of Athletic Lab Sports Performance Training Center. In this next segment, we're going to talk about some of the considerations that I take into account when designing a speed and power session. Speed and power is best developed when an athlete is fresh. We need the athlete to give maximal intent and drive as hard as possible while minimizing fatigue. Speed and power is not developed in a fatigued session, so we want to make sure that that athlete is relatively fresh. So we're going to try to do things that maximize their output while minimizing the fatigue. To achieve this end, I'll typically start a session following the active dynamic warm-up with an informal survey, perhaps asking the athlete how they feel and examining their readiness. I also like to use quantitative tools like Reactive Strength Index to assess the readiness and physical capacity to see how well the athlete can tolerate the speed and power session. One tool that I like to use to assess the readiness of an athlete to tolerate a speed and power session is Reactive Strength Index. Reactive Strength Index is a good assessment of the athlete's physical capacity, in particular how well their nervous system is prepared and how well they're recovered to handle the demands of a speed and power session. With the Reactive Strength Index test, what we're looking for here is getting a good balance between the height of the jump as well as the contact times. We're not going to ask the athlete to jump as high as they can indiscriminately. We're likewise not going to ask them to get off the ground as quickly as they can. What we're looking for here is seeing that the athlete can express power quickly. So we want to see them jump high, but produce a lot of force on the ground and get off the ground fast. So in an athlete that is fresh and ready to perform, we're going to see higher RSI values. We're going to see them get off the ground a little bit quicker, so shorter ground contact times, and we're going to see a good balance between height and ground contact time. So Darian, let's go ahead and take a 10 jump RSI test. So when we use the RSI test, what we're doing here is looking at their physical readiness to perform. I want to have longitudinal data for the athlete, and by comparing their historical data to what they're capable of on a given day, I gain some insight into how well their nervous system and the neuromuscular system is going to handle the demands of the speed and power session which is to come. If I see their RSI values are down, they're unusually low, I may modulate the training session accordingly and either reduce the volume or perhaps even scrap the session altogether. As I said, speed and power sessions cannot be done in a fatigued state, so we want to make sure that the athlete is ready to go. Okay, Darian, let's go ahead and take a 10 RSI jump test. What we're looking for here is short ground contact times and high heights. We're trying to strike the balance between these two metrics. From the jump test, we notice Darian's RSI values were hovering around the low to mid 0.7 range. Darian is typically in the 0.8 range, so she's a little bit low for today. If I were to see this, I might say we need to modulate or downscale what I had planned to do. Maybe it's slightly lower repetitions, slightly shorter distances on the sprints. Maybe I even scrap the session if the RSI value was low enough. Thankfully, that's not the case today. If she was higher than her historical data, where she normally is, then I'd say she's ready to go.